Good day, Internet. This is DTNS Live from Monday, April 21st, 2025. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
In Studio 7 in Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
From deep in the heart of Texas, I'm Justin Robert Young.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Daily Tech News Show Live is made possible by you right now listening. Maybe you're Johnny Hernandez. Maybe you're High Tech Okie. Maybe you're Chris Zaragoza. Or maybe you're one of our brand new patrons, Mikey and Doug.
Yay!
Mikey and Doug are the best. Always said so.
Aw, we love new patrons, especially over this Easter weekend. And welcome everyone to DTNS Live. This is the show where we discuss the tech news to help us all understand it a little bit better. Now, I know not everybody celebrates Easter. I certainly don't, but I went to brunch yesterday and had a real fun spread. Ate a lot of food. Justin, what did you do with the little Babu?
She's still so young that we really didn't do anything. We took some pictures to put in the family group chats and called it a day, but that's pretty much the end of the quiet Easters. Past that, we're going to have to start getting her in her Sunday best and probably doing some kind of egg hunt.
Yeah. Roger, I know you did a little egg hunt with your kids.
Yes, it was a lot of candy, which probably in hindsight wasn't the best idea because they go straight to those like white on rice, and it was just very hyperactive for the next couple of hours.
Tom, did you give Seven an egg hunt as well?
No, we didn't. We didn't really celebrate at all. We went to a park, went to a nice little walk in the park, took him out, took Seven the dog out.
I saw an Instagram photo. It looked nice. It
was nice.
Yeah.
We ate eggs for lunch.
Nice.
Yeah.
I some friends had organized a Easter brunch type thing, and it was very nice over on the west side of LA, and they had all these oysters. I mean, raw oysters, like 1 million of them. I must have had 50 oysters.
It's the eggs of the sea, right?
You're like the cool hand Luke of oysters.
Chicken of the sea. That's the oyster. Yeah. Oh, gosh, it was so good. Well, we are here to talk about tech news, so let's get right into it with the quick hits.
Bluesky has launched blue check verification to confirm the authenticity of select accounts. If they think you deserve one, you'll know. Bluesky's moderation team is deciding who gets the checks, while also working with select organizations who can provide their own verifications with a slightly different badge. Those will have a scalloped edge, apparently, but you have to be part of that organization, and that organization gets told whether they're part of this plan. You can't ask for it yet. But you can just do it yourself. I've done that. The platform allows you to domain link your username for verification, so that will show up differently as well. It does say that they will eventually take verification requests in the future.
An AI doctoral student in California told TechCrunch that their visa was revoked after being flagged in a criminal records check, despite having no criminal record. This appears to be a broader U.S. administration crackdown leading to some visa challenges for more than 1,000 international students, with some experts warning that the policy is going to disrupt AI research in the country.
Google settled its antitrust case. No, not the one about display ad tech yesterday. No, not the one that started the hearing about remedies. No, it's the one in India. India's Competition Commission has settled one. Google agreed to modify its vendor agreements, paid $2.4 million as a settlement fee, and will now allow standalone licensing for the Play Store and Play services on smart TVs.
Meta announced it's expanding age detection on Instagram to better identify underage users who automatically adjust their account settings to stricter teen protections. Imagine you're 16, you want to be 18, you want to have that Instagram that all the adults have. I mean, it happens. But if AI suspects a user is a minor, despite listing an adult birth date, Instagram is supposed to move the account to teen settings by default, although as a user, you can still opt out.
Riot Games says Valorant Mobile is officially on the way, launching first in China. Pre-registration for a playtest there already opening. The game is being developed by Chinese studio Lightspeed. No word yet on a global release. Valorant Mobile was first announced in 2021 following the success of the original PC game.
Oh, well, if you're a fan of Valorant, I'm sure you're
Are
excited
you?
about this. I am not.
Ah.
But if you are, you would be excited about something like this. I would assume, since 2021 was 4 long years ago. All right. Attackers have exploited a Google system weakness to send fake emails that passed domain keys identified mail, sometimes known as DKIM, security checks, and appeared to come from Google, at times leading to users sharing credentials because they thought they were talking to Google specifically. The attack used Google OAuth apps and sites.google.com to create convincing phishing pages. Google says it's working on a fix after acknowledging the risk. The FTC has sued Uber, accusing it of misleading customers into signing up for the monthly subscription Uber One, making cancellations difficult and charging without consent, or what the FTC would assume consent would be. The FTC also claims that Uber violated federal laws and says it's fighting back against unwanted, hard-to-cancel subscriptions. Now, Uber is not the only company in this case that the FTC is going after for this specific thing. However, it is a specific thing that has affected my life more than once. So I don't know if any of you, have you signed up for Uber One voluntarily?
Yeah, I did it once because especially closer to 2020, we were doing enough delivery that I was like, I think this will end up at least balancing out.
Right.
So I did it for a year, and then at the end I canceled it, and I have not gone back since.
Okay, so yes, there are many situations where it's not like it's like some predatory thing. If you do a lot of either
That's not what the FTC is saying, though.
Well, the FTC, yes, of course, but on the surface, the Uber One is not some terrible idea. You just have to say, like, do I take lots of rides? Do I get a lot of food delivery? Well, a lot of food delivery was certainly happening back in 2020. I totally get that. Although somehow, without doing this myself, I kind of signed myself up for Uber One, when I was like ordering a pizza one night type thing. And I didn't realize it until a couple months later where I'm like, what are these charges from Uber? What are these $10 charges? This is insane. So I canceled. And then I got re-signed up. Now, I don't order from Uber, food delivery more than, I would say, maybe once a month. Let's call it 12 times a year type thing. So it actually doesn't make sense for me to pay for this. If you do it, I don't know, 2-3 times a month, maybe it's like for business meetings or, there are all sorts of reasons that this would make more sense, but I just don't. It does not make sense. I have now been signed up twice without me actually signing up. Now, sure, maybe I pressed a button, I wasn't paying attention type thing. But I feel like when I read the story this morning, I was like, I feel validated. I feel seen. Something is up, with Uber One.
Well, yeah, that's certainly the FTC's contention here. The reality is that Uber has had a very, very harsh reality that has been looming for them for a very, very long time, way back to their former leadership with Travis Kalanick, where he went all in on self-driving cars because he understood the math wasn't going to work once they were out of the VC-funded customer acquisition phase for riders to drive. There's only so low that they could push those rates. Even in a gig economy, they needed to make money somewhere else. And so they found different ways that they could make drivers busier. And so that's where you get Uber Eats, and now they do grocery and stuff like that. But subscription is the calling card of our business age. And they are doing everything they possibly can, up to and including probably greasing the skids, what the FTC says is illegally.
Yeah, I'm guessing, Sarah, in both cases, you fell for some kind of dark pattern, right? Like there was a thing that was checked that you didn't realize was checked and didn't uncheck. If it wasn't, that would be like that would be bad. You shouldn't check things like that. Or it was like, do you want to get a $5 discount? And you just said, well, sure. Not realizing, and they maybe didn't make it very clear, like, and you'll be signed up for Uber One 30
now
days
that
later.
We have your credit card information, you'll be charged $10 a month.
There was small print that said, after 30 days, your trial period ends, and this becomes a yearly subscription.
I am sure.
But that's what the FTC is suing about.
I just was like, I want pizza. And
that's what the that's what the FTC is suing about, is that that's not fair. Like that it's not because Sarah wasn't paying attention. It's that they made it difficult to see.
Sure. Of course. I mean, listen, I have friends who have worked at Uber. I'm not, listen, Uber Eats definitely gives me pizza and variety of things on a regular basis. But I am positive that I was going too quick because I was trying to, get a transaction going. Yeah. And the company was like, we know you're doing this and we're going to trick you. And now you're going to start paying $10 a month because we already have your credit card.
Yeah. I mean, and look, when people are making decisions like that about pizza late on a Friday or Saturday night, they might be hungry. They might be hungry and they might not be thinking like themselves. So maybe you hit a few buttons that you weren't going to hit otherwise. Yeah, it actually, gets me thinking about, like, obviously we all make our living on some level by way of subscriptions. It truly has revolutionized the economy and especially entertainment and tech. But it does feel like we are obviously in subscription bloat, that people have decided that more and more things should be subscription, even if we don't necessarily believe that they should, and that the deals that you would otherwise get for being a loyal customer that wants to put their, a small amount of money, no matter what, on the counter for these companies is getting less and less. It seems odd that in a world where we're competing more and more, the deals haven't gotten better. If anything, they've gotten worse. Because I can't imagine people would be upset if Uber One was a great deal for them.
Or if they knew they signed up for it, right? Like, I get where it's in a business's best interests to make it easy for you to sign up for something and then make it easy for it to stick around in a way where you go, well, I didn't mean to sign up for that, but wow, I've got a deal. But to your point, Justin, when they I didn't sign up for that, I don't remember ever signing up for that. And also, I don't know what I'm getting out of it, because the FTC is making a big deal, and they do tend to cherry pick these cases, so they may or may not be representative, but they're saying this person didn't even have an Uber account. And I'm sure we'll find out that they did. They just didn't realize it, or somebody else signed them up or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know how this would happen if you didn't have an Uber account.
Well, the FTC would like us to believe that that's just how evil Uber is.
Yeah,
right. They just went out and signed this person up.
Charging people all over the place.
Got mugged in the middle of the street by Uber One.
Yeah.
I will say, though, I mean, this has happened to me twice. The first time this happened, I was like, what are these charges? And I got a hold of Uber and they were like, oh, I'm sorry. I mean, let's just go ahead and, cancel, the last 3 months of us charging you and, call it even. Thank you for being a customer. And I was like, what? And then the second time it happened, I was like, what actually is going on here? And I sent them a note because in the app, you can talk to customer service. And I'm like, how did this happen again? You have it on record that this already happened to me once. And I was like, I didn't do this. So you know that I don't want this. Never got a response.
Did they cancel it though?
Had to go through my bank.
You had to block the payment. Yeah. See, that's to me, the first one is on the line, and maybe there should be a slap on the hand. Don't do that. Make it easy for people to know what they're signing up for. The second one is a clear violation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, what are we doing?
You should at least respond
I don't
to the
want
customer
this service.
Yeah, but they didn't build their entire app as a funnel to Uber One and then get to turn it off when you complain once. Right? Like,
well, they should respond to the complaint, though. Even if they say we can't give you a refund,
yeah, it's like, what is customer service for? Besides me being like, here's a specific thing that I did not sign up for. Why am I getting charged?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously that is a situation where Uber should have responded faster. But we don't know exactly how systemic of a problem that is. It
Sure.
is no doubt a systemic issue that people sign up accidentally for Uber One just because they're trying to hit go, go, go to get the thing that they want, either a ride from here to there or a pizza in my tummy quickly.
Yeah.
Sometimes both at once.
Yeah. Right. You can combine those and
they'll
pick up
hit
a
you up.
pizza. Yeah.
They'll
on
hit you
the
up.
way. Yeah.
I'll be
I
like,
mean,
oh,
that's
yeah.
why I like
the
Waymo.
Pizza could be there when
Back
you
a
get there.
Waymo and a pizza by myself. So fun.
Pizza party in a Waymo.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, let's talk about CNET's Dasha Milden, who had an article called Don't Hoard Old Tech. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, the thrust of the article is there are better things you can do with your old tech than leaving it in a closet. And this is a way for them to tell you about their CNET YouGov survey of about 2,511 adults in the U.S. about what do they do with their old tech? What do you do with your laptop, your old phone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when I give these percentages, they are not going to add up to 100. They're going to add up to more than 100 because some people do more than one kind of thing. So whatever you do, you got to check the box. 31% of the adults they surveyed kept old tech because they didn't know what to do with it, at least in some cases. 29% you have used a recycling service for old tech. 19% just threw them away, tossed them in the trash. 37% traded them in. 25% sold them. And 18% gave them to their family or friends. So I thought it'd be good to go around the horn here and talk about what we do with our old gadgets. Roger already in our Discord volunteered, I am a hoarder. Do you never trade in? You never sell?
So the reason why I never trade in is because I tend to use whatever I have until its useful life is gone, or I broke it.
So you won't get much.
I won't get much for it. Like all the phones I have, except for the ones that were working, I gave to my dad. But everything else is broken because either my kids got a hold of them, and one of them I played football with by accident.
So you'd answer yes to the gift then, because you gave them to
yes.
your dad.
Yeah, but that accounts for 10%, and maybe an old laptop once in a while.
Sure.
But most of it, for example, I have a closet of like 5 or 6 laptops, and I have 2 PCs in there as well. They're just really old, and I don't know what to do with them. But I also need to wipe their drives, so there's a security element to this.
Yeah.
So I
was going to say, like, I can tell you, like, oh, Best Buy, Staples, Office Depot. Yeah. There's all kinds of places you can take them, but then you have to do the data wipe before you do that if you want to be safe.
And I 2 weeks ago I finally ditched my old PC, but I stripped everything useful out of it. I took the power supply, I took out any of the graphics cards that were still good, and I took out all the hard drives, and I took the rest of it and I dropped it off at Staples for recycling. So I need to either take out the magnets and use them as kitchen magnets or drill holes into the hard drives at this point because there's a security element about it. But for the rest of it, I guess I should really put them in the recycling bin. But I've had them for so long, they're part of my life. It's like a piece of furniture. And if I got rid of them, I would feel lost.
Sentimental value is something that I fall subject to, of like, ooh, that's my old PS2.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I still have my BlackBerry Pearl. Am I gonna use it? Probably not. But I'm like, I love that.
I still have one of the set computers from Call for Help, and it's in my closet, and I will not part with it because
it's like a museum piece.
It is.
You feel a certain way about stuff. I think we all have that. Do we need that for 14 different devices? No, we don't. So in that case, where does it all go? I mean, I know for me, for many years, even though I didn't use my 14 MacBook Pros, I didn't really have 14, but 5 of them, right? Just over time, I was like, yeah, well, if something happens with this computer, then I've got backups. But it became clear over one of my, second to last apartment moves where I was like, you need 1 backup. You don't need 5. And at that point, I went through, they were all Apple products. I went through the whole, Apple rigmarole of, what are these worth? 0. Apple was like, we will recycle this for you. That's all you get, And at that point, it actually made more sense to go to like a different kind of third-party recycling center near my mom's house at the time and just be like, okay, well, they're all wiped. Bye. Hope you do something good with them. Maybe there is somebody on the other side of this who is going to get a computer that works for them.
Justin, do you have a
Yeah,
closet
well,
full of your secret electronic shame?
Oh, of course. In fact, I'll even add one on here that I didn't see, which is I buy other people's old stuff because I have a fond memory. I went through an iPod phase for a while where I kept having this delusion that I was going to make an art project with a shadow box where I would have all the iPods charged, and maybe even you could plug it in like a museum and listen to them.
Nice.
I have no
That
aptitude.
still could
That's so
happen.
cool.
I have no
That's
aptitude for any of that. I was never going to do it. I've never in my life done anything close to that. But I do have a bunch of old iPods now, so that's nice for me. I don't know. I mean, these things are such seminal parts of your existence, especially if you've grown up in the last few decades when they weren't only trinkets. They weren't only things that you had to have to interact with society. They were cultural markers in an era where not everybody was online and not everybody was on a computer or owned consumer tech in the same way that they do today. So yeah, I've got probably every iPhone I've ever owned, except for the first one, which I sold to buy the second, and then immediately regretted.
Yeah.
Have you ever held
Same
on
here.
to something because, and the reason why I finally got rid of my PC is because I broke it, but for the longest time, I thought man, it's going to come in, it's going to be my lifeline. Someday something's going to break and I'm going to have to pull it out of the closet to save either for work or something. It's like a life preserver.
That does happen sometimes. I mean, I remember my previous MacBook Pro that was like that was my machine for everything for years. Suddenly something happened. The screen wouldn't turn on. And it had to go back to Apple and get fixed. It was actually a third-party seller, but same. And this old 17-inch MacBook Pro that I had from our days at This Week in Tech, which was a very cool computer at the time, but it was old. Very long in the tooth. I mean, it took like 5 minutes to boot up.
We all get old eventually, even
We do.
17-inch MacBook Pros.
Yes. And, I was like, oh, thank God I have this, because otherwise I truly couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. So I do get the idea of, keeping stuff around where you're like, yeah, in a pinch, this is, it's going to keep me afloat, right?
I used to think about repairs in that case more often than I do now because it just never happened. I never pulled anything out of an old machine. And I know people who have, so I know it could happen. It just never did for me. So I'm like, it doesn't seem like that's going to come up for me that often. But having redundancy, having something where you're like, ooh, if this goes down, I've got something else. I do think about that. But that's not why my closet is full of old stuff, because I'm not pulling that PS2 out. I'm not pulling this TI 99 4A out and using it as a backup, right?
It's also like once it's in a box and, you're not looking at it.
Yeah,
it's
out of
like,
sight, out of mind.
Yeah,
I will say-
is it bothering you in there?
For certain things, especially Apple products and video game consoles, if I'm done with them, I'm never going to play with my GameCube again, I will sell it because I try to get as much money before the value really slides down.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think that happens to a lot of people where they, maybe they don't know. CNET have some great suggestions here that people might not be aware of, like declutter or back market or it's worth more. Where you're like, well, I don't want to go through the trouble of eBay and packaging it and sending it. You can get instant offers. But even then, I think a lot of people get to the point where they're like, oh, I used this for 4 years and they're offering me $18. I don't know if that's worth it. I'll just hold on to it and see what happens. Or they get zero for it and they don't know what to do. They're like, well, I don't want to ship it through the mail if I'm just recycling it. That seems a lot of trouble. But my local Best Buy stopped taking them. Now I don't know what to do with it. I think that happens a lot too.
But also, wait, Roger, are you really selling it at its peak?
No,
Or
well, see, that's
is there
the thing.
going to be an element of retro tech that now all of a sudden makes it worth
I think
So
a lot
we
of
could
us,
be fencing all
this
this
is very
to the Akihabara
So,
market
Justin,
in Tokyo.
Justin,
very baseball card-esque. It's like,
Ironically-
maybe if I save it for long enough.
Hell
it'll be
yeah.
worth
No,
a
no,
lot.
you're right. Like with with my toys, I hit the peak point during the pandemic where people were buying all sorts of novelty things, and I was getting rid of all my old toys. Like, I mean, from when I was in like junior high, and I was getting like $200-300 for this stuff. I paid like $15 for an 86. And I thought, I'm doing great. But when it came to the video games, I was so paranoid, like the value would drop off a cliff. I was like, all right, this guy's gonna buy it for $80 plus all the games. Done. Take it. Give me the
Also,
give
I mean,
me the cash.
$80 when you're, in high school is like, I mean,
No,
you
this
got
was
gas
this
for
was
a week.
4 years ago.
Oh, this was like 7 years ago. It's like, oh, you want $80? Take it. Now there's a retro video game phase, and people are paying like $120 to $200, and I'm
Yep.
kicking myself.
Well,
Like,
I mean, this is, it's like riding the stock market. Like, you don't always know what's going to happen.
No,
You
I
you
gotta
just
don't,
save
know
all.
what's
I
best for
gotta.
you.
I
that's
gotta
the
save all my
thrill.
stuff for my personal museum. That's what I
Yeah.
always tell myself whenever I'm
Me too.
hoarding.
I do the same thing. I'm like, I'm going to do a tech museum, and I'll be the only one that has this Palm Edge, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
I will say, and this is not tech related really, but sort of tech adjacent. So you know how My Little Pony is like a big thing now?
Of course. Yeah.
For the little kids. Well, it was a big thing when I was a little kid because we had little ponies, like physical plastic ponies. And my parents cleared out a lot of stuff, after I went to college, but I was like, do not get rid of the My Little Ponies. For some reason, I had the foresight to be like, don't do it. Just put them in a garbage bag in the attic. I don't care where they go. Do not throw them out. And they were like, okay, gosh, I guess she really cares about them. They're worth money now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're worth, because
Fence
they're
those
old.
ponies. Fence
Fence
those
the
ponies.
ponies, Sarah. Do it.
You
did it.
have to
Retire.
understand there's a window on that stuff, right? The people who are willing to pay out, they're getting
Right.
old.
Well,
Eventually
it's like
Yeah, right.
10 years after I stopped playing with the ponies, like, no,
Yep.
nobody cares. But
mean,
now they
playing the
care.
ponies.
You see this in the vintage car market that there's certain models that people were paying like upwards of $40,000 to $50,000 are dropping back down to 30 and under because that demographic that would pay for them are no longer around.
Yeah. Howdy Doody toys are a great example of that. In the
Yeah.
90s, they went for huge amounts of money because people were all nostalgic, but now all the people who remember Howdy Doody are passing
Dead.
away. Nobody
Make sure
cares.
you get their addresses because you can get them right back at the estate sale.
Oh, well, that is fun.
I'm just proud that we gave playing the ponies a whole new definition on
There
this
we
show.
go. There
What
we
do
go.
you want to hear us give a new definition on this show? One way to let us know is our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at reddit.com/r/Daily Tech News Show.
AGI, or artificial general intelligence, type of artificial intelligence that all the companies are, hoping that they get to. The idea is that this possesses a human level, a truly human level cognitive ability. So, Justin, how close are we to achieving that, and what would it look like?
Well, that is the question, Sarah. And AGI is something that has been talked about a lot. It certainly was something that was very much a marker in literature, academic literature about artificial intelligence and machine learning for years. And it has been looked at as a huge stepping stone for AI during its current LLM renaissance. However, as we get closer to the idea of a AI having human-like cognition, it seems like we have a fuzzier idea of exactly where that barrier is to be broken. And so what I'd like to do is bring up an article that was written by Tyler Cowen. He is a famous economist and is somebody that follows AI. And what he said on April 16th is, this is April 16th day, meaning I have found that O3 by OpenAI, which is their latest model, their most powerful model, is AGI for me. Now, it might not be AGI for you, but it's AGI for me. And he submitted the definition to go off after the famous Supreme Court quote, to define AGI is just to know it when you see it, like the Supreme Court used to say about dirty magazines. So what I wanted to float to you guys is, what's your personal benchmark? What would you like to see from a AI model that would not make you think, okay, this is a cool chatbot, okay, I can do interesting things with this, but rather this is human level cognition?
I don't even know that I want that. I mean, I
Whether or not-
know,
whether or not
I
you
know
want
that I
it,
need
whether or not
that.
you want it, what would be the line? What would be the
yeah,
line?
Yeah.
My line would be if I could allow it to do the task unobserved and not managed, like micromanaged. Like I could leave it for a week or a month, and I know it would do whatever task.
that's
I assigned to it.
interesting.
You know what I mean? Like if I had an actual human assistant, I can say, "Hey, make sure that all these bills are paid on time, and that if there are any inconsistencies with my bank account, not to cover it." You can manage that without me intervening and saying yes to this, no to that.
And
yes,
and
no.
only like tap me on the shoulder, so to speak.
Yeah,
if,
like
there's some discrepancy.
Yeah, like I would not have to worry. Like I can leave it to that.
A human who is intelligent, right, and is sentient, might not do that very well.
Yeah.
So
Many don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
If your model doesn't do it very well, does that mean it's sentient? Like, does it have to? If it does it well, is it superhuman? Because it always does it well, and you don't have to look around and find and hire the right model to do it.
Let me also drill down for Roger. Something that was interesting was length. That you wanted something that could repeatedly do something every day, to do a daily task, right? And you would not need to do it. I think, depending on the task, we're kind of there. I mean, like OpenAI's Operator, and there's a few other competitors to it. They are not great. I don't think that they're as good as they're going to be in a year or so, but they can do rudimentary tasks.
Yeah,
But is that just a brute force thing, like a sump pump can do it, a regular task without being overseen?
and
Like,
the
what
idea-
makes it
ASI,
intelligent?
artificial sump pump.
Sump pump intelligence. Yeah.
that's something else. But the idea is that, like, for example, if I had a new assistant and all they did was make book appointments or whatever, and occasionally they would run into one where they never got a hold of the person or whatever, it would be able to learn and figure out alternate methods.
I think that's the differentiation. Unanticipated scenarios that you feel confident they would deal with somehow, not just fail.
Exactly.
Right? Even a bad human person, assistant, would come up with a response.
Functionally, not morally. There.
Yeah, right. Even someone who's not good at the job of being your assistant would have a response. Yeah.
It's like, I can't get this person on the phone, I will try an email, or I will, I will find another way to maybe call a different department and get a human operator.
Even
or something.
inappropriate responses like, so I unplugged all the phones so I don't have to answer them, would be like a sentient response, whereas a machine might not do that. That's a creative response, even though it's one we don't want.
Tom, what's your personal AGI benchmark?
I think it's surprising me with creative responses regularly enough that I'm like, oh, that was just an accident. It was a good LLM imitating a creative response, coming up with things where, whether they're helpful or not, you're like, I don't think anyone else would have thought of that. Showing some sort of it's a bit intangible, which is why I really like Tyler Cohen's piece here, where he's like, yeah, we know it when we see it, because sometimes they're way better than us while also being horrible at other things. But I think it's that ability to add something to the response.
We also know people, like, we all know that person who's like, man, they are smart, but they do not read the room.
Yeah, but
we
AG,
know
I think
we're familiar with those kinds of humans.
What AGI would be capable of is not being great at everything, but being able to understand and think creatively about things.
So what was also talked about in another piece about, I believe it was One Useful Thing, which is another blog. They pointed out that it is a jagged AGI frontier. And a jagged frontier is something that's talked a lot about in the world of AI, meaning that AI can be extraordinarily, or LLMs, the current models of LLMs, can be extraordinarily helpful in one area, but very unhelpful in another one. And so it's not a uniform frontier of intelligence. It is instead a jagged frontier. And that's where I think sometimes you look at academics, you look at people in medicine, you look at people in economics, and you see what their response to some of these models are. And it's like, I have a grad student in the computer. That this is, it might not be the best grad student I've ever had, but it is grad student level writing, it is grad student level research, it is grad student level computation. And for them, it's like, okay, if I'm going to assume that grad students have general intelligence, then I have to then assume that these models do. But I think what you guys have pointed out is very, very interesting, that the line for AGI when it comes to the general public is probably going to be built more into utility and not the idea of like, okay, can you grade this paper? Can you write me a paper based on the following esoteric Austrian economic theories? And then it's going to be more, can it routinely check Roger's email and alert him about the appropriate things that he should hear about?
Yeah. I don't know if AGI is a useful benchmark really, so much as practicality, predictability, capability. And I think that's kind of what he was pointing out here with the jagged quote of like, O3 and all of those, they're going to be really good at certain things and we should use them for that and not worry about whether it's AGI or not.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, what we are evolving out of is what machine learning has been for the last 20 years, 25 years, where there's been a line of very academic study about what it is, how it's evolving, so on and so forth. Obviously, that has informed where we are right now. But as it's become more mainstream, you're seeing less, can it solve the hardest problems on the planet, and more, can it reliably tell me and my wife what we should eat for dinner?
And what did it say?
We made curry last night.
There you go. Nice. See? Yeah,
I
sounds
thought
delicious.
it was going to be pizza on Uber Eats.
No. We had to make, because we're trying to eat.
It signed him up for
baby,
Uber One.
So.
That's how it happened.
Yeah.
You know
Which
what?
is funny
You're not
because
the
the
best
baby doesn't
assistant.
even.
You're just not human-esque.
The baby doesn't even have an account. Now she's got her Uber One.
Now she's got Uber One. That's weird.
Yeah. Well,
Alert the FTC.
You blink and you'll miss it. All right. So we all get anxious in public spaces, some of us more than others. I definitely relate to this. Dealing with, I don't know, a big crowd or confronting a partner, in public, or delivering a presentation in front of a lot of people who may or may not like your presentation. But VR might be able to help us with this, right, Roger?
Yeah, so Anna Fang, a graduate student in the School of Computer Sciences, Human-Computer Interaction Institute at Carnegie Mellon University, is developing a program where they would leverage AR and VR to simulate high-pressure situations for people who want to either manage or go into therapy for their anxiety issues. And the best way to think about it is sort of a high-tech version of exposure therapy, right? Instead of if you're very anxious about, say, like public speaking, instead of dropping you in front of 100 or 1,000 people to do a live speaking, you would do it virtually, so they could, along the way, have sort of the helpful cues and hand-holding in those settings. And what they found out was that a lot of people, or not a lot of people, the 19 people that they incorporated into this initial trial said that the aids were very realistic, and they found them to be very useful in overcoming some of these anxieties. One of the notes that they did say is the one thing they would do is be able to take those headsets and, for example, transition them into an actual public space so they could sort of do the big toe in the swimming pool before they did the plunge. They could sort of ease their way into it. And I was thinking, what sort of situations would you all enjoy or would like to have in order to kind of overcome any sort of anxiety you would have in public? For example, for me, the two big ones are, one, interfacing with law enforcement, and two, speaking in a courtroom. So, for example, if I was,
yeah, that sounds.
you know,
good.
I've never actually, I've done more than I would care to admit, interface with law enforcement. I don't think I've ever come out well in those situations, but I've never spoken in court outside of just being in the jury box. And it's something I would like to prepare myself for, especially if it was something where I either had to litigate, I was being, sued, or I had to sort of there's just things that I would totally sweat bullets over, and it would be nice to have something to at least give myself some exposure to.
So this is not exactly about me, but when I was a kid, my dad had extreme claustrophobia. He had been in Vietnam. He lived on an aircraft carrier in the Navy for, however long, who knows. And like elevators, very upsetting to him. Planes, no go. And so that was just a thing where it's like, Dad can't go into small spaces, can't do it. And I wonder how something like this might have coaxed him out of that feeling, because it's like, it's PTSD, right? And then it turns into something that you just can't get rid of in your life, even though you're safe now, and everything's different. I wonder about that. I think that VR could be really beneficial in that way.
Well,
yeah, and there's been some studies that show exactly that, like with military, with people in crisis situations, kind of using some exposure therapy to get them to be able to feel less anxious about similar situations. So it's no surprise that it would work for other anxiety-inducing situations as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the question is just how can you manipulate the chemical response when these things are brought on so they don't have the same kind of crashing effect that they would otherwise. And really, this is just a testament to the idea that this technology is good enough that our brain is fooled by it, right? Like, because I'm sure you could do all of the things that they are suggesting here with flashcards forever, but our brain is like, that's paper. Get out of here.
Well,
You
I also
expect me
think
to draw my adrenaline up? You want my cortisol to shoot up because of paper? Get out of here. But now that we have 4K, this 8K in front of our eyeball, we're like, it's a dinosaur.
It's that, but it's also incorporating LLMs. So when you have that conversation, for example, confronting the partner who, either romantically or just like some sort of business partner, you don't feel that anxiety, and you can be in a mode where you're clear thinking instead of giving into your emotions, and you're just like reacting to the stimulus.
Yeah, like walking through the scenario.
Exactly.
Kind of
Man, what a Friends plot in a modern era that, they find out that
We should
Ross
reboot
has been training for a breakup by way of his VR headset.
That's actually one of the things that I back in my head, like if you ever had to go to divorce court or whatever, and listen, life is full of surprises.
Everybody,
and it's best to be prepared.
We all do it, right? Worst case scenario.
Just know when that VR headset shows up, this is a harbinger.
Okay, so I know I'm going a little deep on this, but it's like, would this... yeah, because we're not already.
It's like, you want to know what? Skip the quest. Just cheat on me. It's fine. It's fine.
No, you better not. But
or else you're gonna get a quest.
but the
VR going to have a conversation.
quest, and you're, have you seen The Last of Us? That's where you're going. No. All kidding aside, the whole idea of just walking through things that a lot of people historically have gotten medicine for, right? It's like, oh, you've got an issue. Here's what you get. Here's how you sleep well at night. Here's how you deal with people better during the day. And I am not a doctor, and I am not going to say in any case that there are times where medicine should not be delivered to the person that needs it. But I do think that there has been an overprescription of medicine at times where a doctor is like, I don't know, man, I think you just need to sleep. And maybe something like what we're talking about right now, this VR kind of walking through stuff to make somebody just feel more like a human, kind of get out of their own head, as it were, might be helpful for some people. Not everybody, but for some people.
And one of the things I think there's a misunderstanding when it comes to medication and anxiety is it's not a either or, right? It can be the amount of dosage versus plus on top of therapy versus just going straight medication where you go to a psychiatrist, or just straight therapy where you go to a psychologist. And, it's a balance. And one of those things that my wife always stresses me is the DBT skills, where you sort of have an understanding, you have a procedure you follow mentally in order to make your way through things that can be very anxiety inducing. For example, my father-in-law had severe anxiety to the point where some days he would not get out of bed because it was so overwhelming. And it would have been instructive to see if something like this would have been able to help at least take the edge off those days.
For my own anxiety disorder, I use cognitive behavioral therapy, and I no longer take any medication for it, and that's fine. Mostly it's because I don't want to have to take pills if I don't want to, but I also don't want to have to put on a VR headset. Like, I imagine that this is the kind of therapy that will work for people who are in the I'll try anything. I just need to figure out how to get past this, versus somebody who's like, can't you just give me some medicine? Like, I don't want to have to put on a VR headset, 3 times a week and go through a scenario.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things.
This is something that it requires a commitment to self-improvement that is rare. Most people, when they're at least beginning to deal with these kinds of anxiety triggers, the concept of confronting them, even on a therapeutic level, is enough to warn them off it. But if you're in a situation where you are committed to excellence, if you're committed to being better at public speaking because you believe that it's your job, let's get out of some of the more horrifying elements of it. But I do think that it opens up a door to it. And Roger, to your point with the LLM thing, I think I brought this up the last time that we were on, but one of the number one things when you ask people what they get the most use out of LLMs are therapy. And I think that that's a big question that we haven't even begun to wrestle with on why it is that popular and whether or not it is healthy relative to the
I think it's popular because people are like, I want to talk to somebody. It's not my best friend.
That doesn't exist.
It's not my boyfriend. It's not my husband, wife, or therapist. I just want to talk.
Yeah.
A neutral observer. Or
my spouse just bought a VR headset. Should I be worried? ChatGPT, tell me.
Put it on.
Run.
Put it on, Tom.
File before they can.
Yeah. They just bought an application called People's Court.
Just responds with a filled out legal filing for you to sign.
Would you like me to file this for you?
It sounds like you want to get divorced. Oh, we're so sorry, but we can help
with this. As a large language model, I can't recommend this. But
you live in the state of California, right? Okay, it's going to take a while, but we'll get there.
Model. Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, all kidding aside, no, I Roger, I'm glad you brought this up. I think this is a very this is something that we're going to hear more and more about as we all kind of navigate how we all feel about not only large language models but our own mental health. With that, let's check out the mailbag.
Frank sent us this comment about our smartphone case discussion that we had last week. We got a lot of really good response to that. Thanks to everybody who sent emails. Frank says, I hike and walk and love a lanyard I can loop on a finger or attach to a day pack strap. It has saved my iPhone from landing peanut butter side down numerous times. And once, while whale watching at sea, I attached it to my zipper pole. Then, when a few people were watching me, I pretended to drop my iPhone. Nothing but gasps. I thought that was hilarious. Hear you later. I like hear you later.
Oh my gosh, Frank. First of all, glad that you figured out something, but also the whale watching thing. Imagine being like, like my beautiful baby has gone
That's-
overboard. And everyone's
one
like,
of those-
oh no. And you're like, haha, it was attached to me the whole time.
That's one of those karma things that's really funny until the time that your lanyard breaks, and then
Yep.
you're left with peanut butter on your face.
You deserve it, my friend.
Funny until it isn't, Frank.
Yep. Yep.
No, Frank sent us a lovely email with, some photos of the lanyards, and I think that you're right. That is a good idea. Like
It's
to
a-
have
yeah,
something
the
attached
lanyard idea
to
is
your
a
person,
nice one,
or your purse, or your jacket, or
Little
whatever.
safety strap, especially if you're out in a situation like whale watching. You're going to be leaning over. You want a little extra safety there. Not a bad idea.
Indeed. Well, remember, if you want to be like Frank and send us your comments, anything we talk about, anything you would like us to talk about in the future, do send it our way. feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Justin Robert Young, I know you are a busy bee these days, so where can people keep up with your latest?
Well, if you want to hear more about artificial intelligence, myself and Andrew Main, formerly of OpenAI and now of the Interdimensional Consulting Agency, we have a podcast. It's called The Attention Mechanism. We'll be back with a new episode tonight. It's going to be good.
It's good. I guarantee you will learn something listening to
What,
these
you
guys.
heard it early, Tom?
No, the show in general, not this particular episode. I was just saying.
I was
We
like,
haven't recorded it yet.
I
We
thought we
recorded
all had
after
to
this
wait for it to
Oh no,
drop.
yeah. Justin and Andrew haven't recorded it yet, but I've heard it. Really
Well,
good.
you never know. You guys are sometimes on.
We're gonna
the
dial
back
you in.
channel.
Listen, I can't even pick a title on my own. I need the entire audience's help. How am I going to do that? So
Yeah, that's
thanks to everybody who submitted them over at dtns.showbot.tv. Our top vote getter is a little bit of a tie right now. Oh, wait, no. Stealth Dave just jumped in front with the Justin Robert Young Museum of Retro Tech Curiosities and Antiquities.
Yep.
I would pay 25 cents to go into there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd pay 50. Yeah. Let's have a bidding war.
Well, that's
Inflation.
a little much, but okay.
You know, what I might pay even more for is Clinton Woodward's title suggestion, Pizza Party in a Waymo.
I mean, who doesn't
Pizza
want
Party
that?
in a Waymo sounds like a Taylor Swift ballad.
Yeah. Yeah, or a
Might be
Weird
more of
Al
a
Taylor
chaperone.
Swift parody. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Or it sounds like one of those bonus things you get after your 100th Waymo ride.
Pizza Party in
Oh,
a
you
Waymo.
get a
Do you
Pizza
get
party.
something after 100
Yeah.
Waymo rides?
It's part
You get a
it's your
pizza
summer
party?
book club prize. You get the pizza party now in a Waymo.
I've taken like 15 rides, so I have a ways to go. But
You should be getting
wait.
that pizza party soon.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's a goal, remember? That's encourages you to use
That's
Waymo
a
more.
goal.
Oh, right. Uber One. Yeah, they're going to get me again.
Well, now that you
somehow.
remember if Uber won again. Oh, you didn't realize? Yes. During the show, they signed you up. Dar Gannon suggested playing the plastic ponies.
Ah,
Oh, My Little Pony. I'm telling you guys, I'm going to be rich one day. One day.
you should do it now while
today.
the iron's hot. Where the iron's
Today's
It's
hot.
not
not
the
that
day. Yeah.
Batfink
see.
right along with My Little Pony Express delivery.
That's funny.
Roger's closet is full of laptops. So many people were asking us to bring up the microwave because longtime listeners know that Roger had a broken microwave for a long time.
had
It
two.
worked fine.
Yes.
It worked fine.
How do you guys all remember this?
I know.
Roger's
eventually-
stubborn insistence to
I-
not replace his $30 microwave.
I
He would
replaced
take a
it. I
free one
replaced
from me because it
Also,
worked fine.
like fixing a microwave. It's like, are we all now
No,
bionic?
it worked. It worked. It was just
Yeah,
decomposing.
that's what you say.
The housing was just coming apart, literally disintegrating. So I got rid of it. I used the one from my late father-in-law's, but the plunger button to open the door broke, and I didn't want to fix it, so I got a $60 one off Amazon, and I donated that one to the local dump. So there, I have upgraded my microwave game. I am
set
now
the
at
record
least
straight.
I
Yeah.
am now at.
You
at-
love to see it. You love to see it.
Yeah,
Yes, I am now
there's
at
a
the
lot
2010s.
There's a lot of passion and heart in the story.
Yeah.
Yes.
We all look forward to it being buried with you in your sarcophagus because it will
That's right.
certainly last until
That's
the
right.
end of days.
It'll
We can
beep
use
when
it to
I'm ready.
reheat the cake that they make out of you.
Yeah. Or bake
Sarah,
it.
what title should we go with?
Oh, Tom, I'm glad you asked. We went
Thank-
with Clinton's Pizza Party in a Waymo. Because that's what I'm doing later tonight. Maybe, I don't know. If I do, I'll take a photo.
Do you guys remember that video that went viral of like the girls in the marketing agency that were all like, chanting like
Yes.
in a circle? Yeah,
I
maybe that's what
remember
it
this.
is. Pizza party in a Waymo. Pizza party in a Waymo.
I'm getting a little Man on a Buffalo vibe from it too.
Oh yeah, that could work too.
Maybe we get Jomo on making a pizza
Jomo.
party at the Waymo. Anyway, yes, thank you for watching, listening. We are available on LinkedIn. We're available on YouTube. We're available on Twitch. Thanks to everybody who supports us on any of those platforms. Zen Fox is lurking. How do we know? Because we got a notification from Twitch that they are following us now. Thanks for lurking. I also got some bits from Zoe Brings Bacon. Larry in Atlanta resubscribed for the 53rd month earlier this hour. Howard Yermish said, late to the party, but hey, 27 months. Resubscribed for the 18th month at Tier 1. Prince of Brow is back for the 51st month. Good to see ya. PC Milesy back for the 53rd month. Cheered us with 50 bits as well. Big thanks to all of you and our patrons who support us and make the show possible. Patreon.com/DTNS.
Oh, thank you to all of you. And if you're looking for a snazzy new way to show your support for our show, or just simple gift ideas for maybe a friend, a coworker, a colleague, maybe you know somebody who loves DTNS Live. Well, you could pick them up a mug, a t-shirt, a mouse pad, or something else with our new DTNS Live logo. They are great looking ways to support us and the show at DTNS.com.
DailyTechNewsShow.com/store.
There it is. Yeah. Somebody took that out of the rundown, but that's okay. Yes. We appreciate everybody who is buying merch, physical merch from us. Thank you so much, and keep it coming. And let us know if, I don't know, it spawns a new fun conversation at the coffee shop the next time you're out there. Like,
Take your DTNS mug to the coffee shop.
Yeah, where'd you get
And then
that
just
mug from?
wave it around.
Oh, do you know the show? Et cetera, et cetera. You know how it goes. You can watch us live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. That is 2000 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We're back doing it all again tomorrow, and we'll talk to you then.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.